All right, well, hello everyone. Welcome to this session on More Than Career Services, a little bit deeper insight into the Market Readiness and Employment team and the Employer Relations team. Thank you all for joining us today. In this session, we'll be talking about all about our career strategies and resources available to you as a graduate business student at Wake Forest, and in particular, the Master's in Management program and the Master's in Business Analytics program. Joining us, we have Ayana from the Market Readiness team and Dana from the Employer Relations team. If you have questions for them as the discussion moves along, please do not hesitate to type those in the chat. We'll be monitoring that as the session goes along. To start off with brief introductions, my name is Blake McLaren. I work on the enrollment management recruiting team at the School of Business. I work across our management, business analytics, and accountancy programs as well. I'm a double DEAC and graduate of the MSM program. So I myself have experience in juggling the career management side of graduate school. So I'm happy to chime in with any of this discussion today and answer some questions about my own experience. And joining us, we have Ashley from my team as well as some of the other folks on the EMR team. If they could just wave in the participants in the gallery there. And Ashley, you can introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Blake. I'm so excited to see all of your faces. I'm happy that you were able to join today. As Blake shared, I am a part of the enrollment management recruiting team. So I've either interviewed you, saw you on campus, chatted with you, had a virtual chat of some sort throughout the year. So I'm really excited. I primarily work with all three of our specialized programs, and I work primarily with our partnerships as well and our diversity recruiting. So I'm really excited to talk about this topic with you today. And Ayana, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Sure, thanks, Ashley. My name is Ayana Van Slightman. It's a lot easier than it looks there on the screen to pronounce it than it may appear. I'm Associate Director of our Market Readiness and Employment team. There are 4 of us who work together closely, both with the MSM and the MSBA students. I tend to work more closely with our MSM students, but we do cross support each other and our students both domestically and internationally on a very regular basis. Happy to be here, and we'll get some more information going here shortly.
All right, I guess it's up to me. I am Dana Hutchins. I'm on the Employer Relations team, Senior Associate Director. And hopefully by the time you set foot on campus, are admitted as students and start the program, I will celebrate my 30th year at Wake Forest. And I consider it a privilege and an honor to do what I do, because I work with some of the best students, connecting you to the market and everything that's recruiting related. And I know we'll go into detail a little bit more about what we do, but it's an honor to be here to talk to you today.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Dana and Ayana, for agreeing to help us out with this event today. I'm going to start off with the first question. As Blake shared, if you have any questions throughout the panel, please drop them in the chat. We want to make this as interactive as possible. We're here for you. So the first question, I want to start off with Ayana. We want to really understand what the support looks like on the Market Readiness and Employment team. I know this is more of the coaching side, so can you share with us, how Wake Forest is different from like a typical career services department on some other campuses?
Sure. So let me start out by saying I am not very well versed in all campuses and all of the different types of career services departments you may come from. Some schools may have very, more involved teams like ours. Some may be more on the side of they will help you with your interview. They will help you with your, maybe helping you locate jobs, or, they may have a job board, and that may be it. Here at Wake Forest, in the School of Business, we support your entire career process, your entire career search process, from nuts to bolts, from the beginning through to your landing on a role. We are there to support you. I think we also help you to identify where your passions lie. We assist you with professional development. We offer tools, resources, coaching, one-on-one, group, and access to industry professionals that will help you achieve your career goal objectives. One of the things that we do is we actually, once you come to the program, both MSM and MSBA, you'll start out in July with what we call, it's kind of like our I guess it's like a pre-experience course. So as part of your prerequisites, you will meet with the coaches like in a class setting for like an hour and 15 minutes twice a week. And we start you out from the basics because not everyone necessarily comes into the program with the same level of awareness of what they want to do. I think one of the things that's very interesting on the MSM side is that our students don't necessarily come in with a whole lot of, if you're on the liberal, you're a liberal arts student, a lot of times students are like, I'm still not really sure what I want to do. And we help you to identify the things that you are passionate about. Sometimes we've had students who who majored in kinesiology and have degrees in kinesiology and wind up in roles in consulting, in brand marketing, in PR. I have a student who was a sociology major in undergrad, and she accepted a role with Facebook just recently. So there are lots of different avenues and paths. I can't say that everyone's going to end up at Deloitte. Not everyone is going to end up at Facebook, but we will get you into an organization that is right for you. One of the things, and I don't want to take up too much time, but one of the things we do is we have a Ready 7 framework that we can talk about, where it's basically like a 7-step framework that includes self-awareness, where we do kind of profiling, not profiling in the scary sense, but we'll do like preference profiles, surveys, we'll talk you through that. Career awareness, one of the things you need to be aware of is what is actually out there for you to do. Yes, you can do marketing, you can do, analytics, but within that, there are a ton of different opportunities and lots of different jobs that you can work and do within those categories. Personal branding, working on your pitch, how you introduce yourself, your documents, your LinkedIn network profile, your resume. We set you up with networking skills. We encourage you to network often. We set you up with people in and out of the program or who like alum. We work with you on your interviewing skills, professional skills for once you graduate, and then of course, life and leadership. So that's kind of like a long-winded response to how we're different. We support you from soup to nuts and even beyond that. Like we have students who have graduated. I had 2 students who graduated last year contact me this week because some things have changed for them in their life as it relates to work, and we still support them. So I think that's one of the things is, we're not here for just a short term. We're here to support you for the long haul. And I think that's what makes us unique and effective.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I think the Ready 7 coursework is really a thing that our students really enjoy, and they always kind of refer back to that when going through the interview process and really connecting with our career coaches while they're in the program. Now, Dana, I want to switch to you. What is different about our employee relations department? What is it that you actually do to support our students?
All right. Wake Forest is definitely, we're different, but we're alike. When we talk about our peers, we all have the same function, which is trying to make the connection point from great talent to great organization. So that's the thing that makes all career service employee relations teams alike. What I think makes us different is that we are a centralized employee relations team, where a lot of other schools may have an employee relations team that is dedicated to one school, a school of engineering, a school of education, a school of whatever. We are a centralized employee relations team, which means we represent the entire university, undergraduate programs and graduate programs. The only 2 programs we don't represent are law and medicine. Why are we set up that way? What makes it unique? In my perspective, what makes it unique is we represent the whole. You all are all coming from different backgrounds. And what's changed in the market is, having been in this role for 28 of my 30 years at Wake Forest, employers used to be so pigeonholed in, I only want to recruit these majors for this role. Some are going to be that way just because of what they are. Maybe a computer science or an accounting, where engineering is very, very specific skills that you have to have. What's happened in the market is employers know that students that come to Wake are smart, trainable students who can transfer skill sets across industries. And that makes my life easier, actually, when we actually go to the market to talk to hiring managers. So when I go to, I'm across the table from an HR person as well as my other colleagues, we ask them, what are your hiring needs? And then they tell us. If they say, oh, I'm looking for intern candidates, great. What do you need? Biology, chemistry, Spanish, engineering? What do you need? I've got the talent. Do you need, people that are ready to accept entry-level positions? If that's what they have, great. I then become the cog in the wheel, connecting them to the populations at Wake Forest, which is wonderful because the employers want the smart, trainable, they call it workforce, not just Wake Forest. They know the talent they're getting here at Wake. So, pat yourself on the back for considering this program, but in these programs, because they are stellar programs and the companies that come recruit are looking for that kind of talent. Now, I will tell you another thing that makes us different is we work hand in hand with the career coaches. And there's a lot of other schools that are more segmented. You do your role, I do mine. That's not the way Wake Forest is set up. We work hand in hand. I work with Ayana, I work with the other career coaches. We know what she tells us you all as students are looking for. We tell her what the market is telling us. We have to work in tandem to make sure what you're seeking is what we're delivering. If you all were to come in and say, we're all interested in this company or this industry or this job function, I need to know that so I can then target the population of recruiters that I'm going to look for. So I will tell you, you will see a hand-in-hand relationship. And I'm going to brag on the career coaches. If you come as a student, there is absolutely no excuse you should not resource that is right sitting in front of you, because they are unbelievable resources to you. They will start with you wherever you are. If you know exactly what you don't want to do or don't know what you want to do, don't be fearful about setting an appointment and let them start with you, because once you start with them, you get connected to me and within our team, and then we'll help you get to where you want to be. So Ayana said it exactly right. We'll start with you and get you where you want to be.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Dana. And just another question, maybe Dana can take this as well, is some of the tools we use for our career services. That includes Handshake is one of the biggest tools that students use to connect with employers and apply to different jobs and register for different events and everything. So how does the School of Business utilize this platform in the job search process?
Handshake, if any of you are not familiar with it, there are other platforms that a lot of the career centers do use, but Handshake is a widely used and accepted career platform, that's used across the nation. It is basically the be-all, end-all, where everything career-related is housed. So as a Wake student, every Wake student has an account. Now, the account is only as good as what you make of it. It's your account. You have to log in. You have to use it. You have to let it help you. So each student has an account. Each student has their own profile. And the system is a smart system. What you put in it and tells the system that you're interested in, the industries, the locations, the functions. I hate to call it a matchmaking system, but it's almost like one of those dating apps. You put in your preferences and it'll match up some things from the system that can help you in your job search. I'll be honest, you're going to be in a program that is a wonderful program. And then you're also probably going to be looking for an opportunity. And looking for a job is a full-time job in itself. So you need to have the system work for you. And that's what Handshake is. It hosts everything from the jobs that are posted, the events that the employers host. If we decide to do treks, virtual treks, or in-person treks, you will apply through it. The system is also a communication channel for employers to communicate with you. And a lot of the employers have their accounts where they're actually out there searching. They're looking for candidates based on words, that they're seeking. They may communicate directly with you. So if you're not using the system, you're missing out on everything that's career related. It's also used for appointment scheduling with our career coaches. So it becomes the platform for a lot of things. It's almost the spoke in the wheel, and it's going to connect you to events. It's going to connect you to employers that are coming to campus to interview. It's going to connect you to how to make an appointment. Everything is that hub, and it will only be as good for use as to what you put into it. Now, it's not going to be a teller machine for you. I mean, it's not going to, you're going to say, I'm exactly what I want. It's going to spit that right thing out. It's going to have effort there. And I will tell you, you will get overwhelmed with the amount of stuff that's in Handshake. That's good, because employers are using that platform and are using the Talented Way to try to meet their needs. So there's going to be a lot in there that can be overwhelming at times, but if you use the platform with your preferences, it'll feed those things to you and make it less overwhelming. So it's a resource that we all use. It'll get you to where you need to be, and it'll keep you connected with all the employers.
All right, we actually have a question in the chat. Can you talk a little about the process for international students and how successful students have been in the past regarding getting a job? Ayanna, if you want to touch a little bit on working as a career coach with international students.
Sure. Yes, I do. And we all on the MRE team work with students, our international students, both on the MSM and the MSBA side. Clearly this year has been a little unique because many of our students have remained in their home country. There are some who are domestic. It really just depends on what you want to do. I'm not going to say that it's easy. It is not. Especially for international students who are seeking to identify opportunities to stay in the States. There are lots of different reasons why it can be challenging, but it has been a challenge. That said, it's not impossible. I do have students who are currently, working to still identify opportunities here in the States. I have a student who has 2 interviews set up, but he has done a work on his own. He has not necessarily been able to, find opportunities easily, but he has when I say scrub the internet, he has worked his network. He has identified ways that he has been able to make connections that are meaningful and productive. For students who desire to stay in their home country, it can be easier, but I'm not going to say it's easy. Again, you do have to do the work. We can guide you, but we cannot say, wrap it up in a nice little box and say, here, it's for you. What we do, however, is we, for instance, this past week, I think it was yesterday, day before yesterday, we hosted an event for our international students where they were able to connect with international alumni or alumni from both domestically and internationally to help them find opportunities for work. It was done for our Asian students, those who are in China. It was done actually we were making connections with alum in China. It was in their spoken in their language, because sometimes that communication is easier done, and making those connections in that language was easier for them. So we were happy to make it happen. We did it at 6 o'clock in the morning because there's a time difference. So we wanted to make sure that it was easy and accessible for the student population we were servicing. So yes, I'm not going to say it's easy. It does take work, not only on your part, but on ours, but we will do everything that we can do on our part to make sure that you have the opportunities to interview and identify opportunities that are appropriate for you.
Excellent, excellent. So, Ayanna, you talked a little bit about using your network. Do we provide the network for them, or can you talk a little bit about how they build their network while they're in the program?
Sure. I can just speak from my personal perspective. Networking is not my favorite thing to do personally, I love to connect other people with, and I guess I have done a great job with it and I didn't really realize it because I do have a pretty significant network just because of, past lives and works and stuff like that. But it is a skill that we are going to encourage you to hone. If you have not already been doing that, I would suggest you start now. One of the best ways to do that is start where you are. Wherever you are in your current role, in your current school, in your current city, you can start with your family. Your parents have friends, or whoever whoever's in your family, they have friends, your friends' parents. I'm going to assume that if they're not working now, at some point in their lives, they worked somewhere. You can start with them and have them as part of your network. It's not an easy thing to do because a lot of people struggle to, they feel like they're asking someone for a favor, or they're asking someone for something. And people, just human nature is such that we want to depend on ourselves. We can do it all ourselves. I can do it on my own. I think there's a saying that if you want to go quickly, go by yourself. If you want to go far, go with others, or something to that effect. There's nothing like having a very strong and active network. So we encourage you and we kind of make you network as part of our Ready 7 framework. It is going to be the key to you landing job. I cannot think of a single student who has landed a job so far or who is currently in the interview process who has not been connected with someone either from the Wake Forest program, someone who works at an organization that we know who comes to campus to recruit. I know a student, I had right before this meeting, I had one of our students, she is on the soccer team, and she has an interview tomorrow, and we could only fit in 30 minutes right before this meeting. And I connected her with two alum who are working at the organization, who are, one was an MSM, one was MSBA, and then two MSBA students who actually interviewed with the company that she's going to interview with tomorrow. So that's 4 people that she's networking with prior to even talking to anyone at the organization about her skills and abilities. So networking is key. I've kind of given a rambling response there, but I think it's because it is so very important, not only in the short term, but for the longevity of your career. And we will cover and discuss all of that when you come to campus, because I'm expecting you to come now. We're friends now, right? We're family, so you have to come.
And let me add what Ayana said. It does not matter what program you're in at Wake Forest. One of the most valuable things you will leave with when you leave Wake Forest is the Wake Forest network. You can say you're a Demon Deacon, and it does not matter what degree you have, what program you were in. Wake alums want to help Wake alums or help Wake students. So you should not be fearful of reaching out to a Wake alum from any major, any program, any class year, in your networking.
And again, Blake is a MSM alum, so he can certainly attest to, you can ask him the questions. I mean, we're not making this up for, just to have nice talking points for you all. It's the truth.
Yeah, as an alum myself, I definitely echo that. Demon Deacons want to help out other Demon Deacons. Even if you'll be walking down the street somewhere in some other state and you have a Wake Forest sweatshirt on, you'll hear "Go Deeks" in the background. So it's a cool community. And personally, I've never had an instance where I've reached out to an alum or another fellow student or someone connected with Wake Forest in some way and them, denying me or anything like that. It's always pretty open to conversation. I've had plenty of informational interviews with people in different job roles. So stuff like that and what Ayana and Dana were talking about is crucially important to this whole process.
Awesome. I want to answer one of the questions. Well, actually, I want Dana and Ayana to talk a little bit about this. One of the questions in the chat. It's around, what are our top employers and industries that our MSBA students go into? But then also I want to throw in MSBA. So where do our students go? We talked a lot about alumni. So where is it that our students actually go?
Anywhere and everywhere. I mean, literally, that is the answer. And it kind of goes to another question. I think, who comes and recruits the students? if I were to try to list I may have to flip it, who doesn't recruit our students rather than who recruits, because there are companies that are able to come to campus. There are companies that are not able to visit because of whatever reasons. There are core schools that, they had to limit where they could go. They still want to recruit, but they never set foot on the campus, but they post and handshake. So there's relationships with companies all over, whether they're on the campus or not. So if you look at who's recruiting, it's the big names. There are names that are brand names that you would recognize, but there are also names that you would not recognize. They're national, they're international, they're regional, they're local, they're for-profit, they're not-for-profit. They cover the gamut of industries, consulting and finance and consumer packaging and analytics and healthcare. It's everything. And I did run the list, this afternoon, just to try to say who does recruit. If I were to look at the top numbers, top company names that have recruited the most, MSM students, over the last few years, Newell Rubbermaid, which is the Newell brands, some of the container stuff that you just probably take for granted. You got things stored in, Newell brands, EY, Deloitte, Gardner, Regions, General Mills, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Neiman Marcus. I mean, there are names, all industries. You look at MSBA, we've got Capital One, Inmar, PwC, EY, Deloitte, Procter & Gamble, Ralph Lauren, General Mills. I mean, they cover the spectrum. And when you think about the company, you shouldn't pigeonhole the company by their industry either, because a company such as a Deloitte, they're looking at analytics students, they're looking at marketing students, they're looking at consulting students, they're looking at finance. So you may be in an MSM or MSBA program and have a strength in some of these. It's not just blinders on. It's a lot of their units from the company that's recruiting. So it's not just, there are some companies that have one division, but there's a lot of companies that are looking to hire demon deacons across the company. So it's more like who's not recruiting than who is recruiting, in my perspective.
And I'd like to just kind of add to, like, from this perspective of, there are students who are hyper focused and very much wanting to work in a specific and only kind of niche industry. We currently have a student in the MSM program. She came into the program indicating that she only wanted to work in the wine and spirits industry in Europe. Okay. Now, the reality is those folks are not coming to Wake Forest to recruit anybody anytime. So she understood that. She knew that. She was well aware. So she actually worked her own network. She did her own searching. We, of course, supported her in, helping her network wherever we could, because we actually did connect her with someone. She knew a student, we knew a student, they connected, but she received a position at a company in Paris, and I'm like, lady, I need to come with you. I'm coming with you to Paris. But she found the job of her dreams, and we supported her in that. So I can't say that, there are some students who enter who have the impression that, it's all going to be laid out for them, and, everyone's going to come and everyone's going to want to talk to them. And that's not necessarily the case. If you put in the work, it can happen. We also encourage you to look outside of the network. There comes a point in time where, hey, you're going to have to kick it into high gear. And, yes, we want you to work on handshake. That is going to be always the foundation from which we hope you look. But you're going to, again, have to tap into your network, look at other, Indeed, become familiar with searching on LinkedIn. If you have a specific industry that you're interested in going into, start over the summer looking into, hey, where can I work? Where can I go? Who can I reach out to? I think that's going to be key to your success as well.
And as unique as each of you are with what you want to do, each employer is unique too, and the timeline for recruitment may be unique. There are seasons of recruitment. There are some financial services, consulting, a lot of those are very heavy in the early fall. Marketing, PR, advertising, some of those may be a little bit later. They don't come in and hire classes of 50 to 75 new cohorts to come in. They hire a smaller group, just in time kind of thing. So there's a difference in what you're seeking and the timeline for that recruitment that has to be worked out. And once you start talking to a career coach and with the employee relations team, we can help you sort of figure out when is the time you need to be ready. But the time you need to be ready is all the time, because you never know when the right opportunity is going to come. It could come today or it could come 2 weeks from today.
And to go off of that as well, as part of my experience in the MSM program, Handshake was awesome. It's even more awesome now. Like, there's a lot more features and everything than there was in 2015, 2016. But yeah, I had plenty of opportunities for interviews and networking events and all of that through Handshake. But like Ayana said, looking beyond that as well. Looking at Indeed, LinkedIn especially, that's where I found my first job out of grad school. And you working on all these skills throughout the program. Like, I went for a job interview with the company from LinkedIn. I went to the final interviews. I ended up not getting the position. So bummer, right? But then a few months later, I was called back from that same organization because they opened up another team. They got another client for it was an advertising agency. So they got another client and they're building a new team for that client. And I was at the top of their list. So you never know, making those good first impressions and continuing to practice those skills, even if you don't get that initial job, is really, really important. Okay, another question. So as you may know, incoming grad students may not have had, such personalized career process, or career coaching, or access to resources like these. And since Ayana specifically, since you work so closely one-on-one with students, what do you see incoming students needing to work on the most and coaching on the most?
Again, every student, every cohort is different. There are some students who are super hyper-focused. They come in knowing what they want to do. A lot of times they just kind of check in because they know, like, I have a student, he's got like 3 or 4 offers. I'm not saying that to brag about him, but he put in the work from day one. Like, we had weekly meetings, we had weekly updates. So there's that student. And then there's a student who has already determined, I need to really focus on my scholastic, my academics. And so I'm going to need to catch up with you maybe later on down the road. And that's fine. I do like to make sure that I keep kind of in touch with those students. I'm a little more proactive with some than others because that's what they need. But I can't necessarily say that I'd be able to do that across the board because I do have a number of students that I'm responsible for. That said, I will say that most students come in on the MSM side not knowing what they want to do. So they require some support in getting clear about, what they might want to do, what's actually available to them, and how to go about applying to those types of roles. On the MSBA side, I will say that most of the students are generally more aware of what they want to do as it relates to going to some sort of analytics, business analytics, consulting type of a role. The challenge there is that everybody wants to do that. And so everybody in the cohort is applying to all of the same jobs a lot of times. So it becomes, very competitive because the companies who recruit don't necessarily only recruit at Wake. They're recruiting at a number of different schools. So not only are you competing within your cohort, you're competing with other campuses. So I'd say that's the difference. I'd say it's not a problem where you are on that spectrum of I know exactly what I want to do and where I want to be versus I have no clue and I just am not, I don't even know. Wherever you land on that spectrum, we're going to support you. I think the second thing is your documents, just kind of like your branding documents, your resume, your LinkedIn profile. Some people are like, I have a LinkedIn profile, but we had students come in with like their photo was just not very work appropriate. So, we guide you through all of those things from your LinkedIn profile to how to go about writing an effective resume and cover letter. And then, of course, understanding how to respond to questions asked in an interview. So I would say probably the top 3 things students need support with is on the MSM side, it would be understanding what they want to do, their resume and their cover letter. On the MSBA side, I would say there's, it's more of, I think it's still interview, still your resume, cover letter, and interview. Because again, most of those students are fairly understanding about they want to go into some sort of analytics. What industry, be it consulting or otherwise, is probably where they may be less focused, but as long as it's analytics related, they're pretty focused.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This has been a great conversation. I think that I want to give the audience an opportunity to unmute themselves. If you didn't want to type out your question, this is the time to jump in and ask a question to Dana, Ariana, myself, or Blake, or anyone else on the EMR team. You can unmute yourself now. You have a specific question. Or you could type it in the chat, whatever works best.
And I also want to call out, because I didn't see him before, but now I just did a little peek. Dylan Robinson is also an alum of the MSM program. So both he and Blake are familiar with kind of what we do. And they would be great resources now or in the future. I mean, you can also contact us as well, but I think they would both be really upfront with you about, what their experiences were and how they can, give you some insight into what they did.
I think
we're actually part of the same class, 2016.
Look at that. I didn't know that. I for some reason, I thought you were different years, but there you go.
I think we had some amazing resources just here right at your fingertips. I'm sure most of you have met anyone on the EMR team. Specifically, we're all here to help you, whether we've done the MSM or MSBA program or not, we're all here to help you. So we actually just had a question come in. Okay, let me see.
I can take a shot at that question.
Yes, perfect.
Literally, when you look at the outcomes from each class, it's based on what we've talked about, where students want to go and where the opportunities are. So there's always that meet in the middle. What is the market doing and needing, and what are the students wanting and where they're wanting to go? There are unbelievable opportunities in, especially the Northeast, but there's unbelievable opportunities on the West Coast as well. So each class is going to be different. It's hard to say that, when you look at the numbers, it looks like the numbers might be low one year, but the next year it might be high, just based on where the student wanted to go and what the opportunities were. So there are opportunities all across the US, in Handshake, the companies that come to recruit on campus, and it's just where the matches and fits are. So if a student's wanting to go to the West Coast, we have a Wake West program. We've got hundreds and thousands of alumni on the West Coast. And the Northeast, oh my gosh, I can't even begin to tell you the amount of alumni we have in the Northeast. That would help, get people connected, and the employers that are coming to, to recruit on campus are from the Northeast. A lot of the employers, when they're posting jobs with us, are posting them for multiple locations. So it depends on, where you want to go and which location you're interested in, where you might be placed for a Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo may post, put you in California, or you could be in Charlotte. So it's going to depend. A lot of times also, when you look at the outcomes data, a lot of the initial placement of a student is for their training program. So if you may see a lot that are initially based in North Carolina, especially for financial services, their training program for 6 weeks or longer is going to be in Charlotte. So when a student fills out their first destination, which you see on the outcomes may say Charlotte, but they may be trained there and then get dispersed somewhere else across the US. So it's you kind of have to take the placement numbers with a grain of salt in one way, because that's the stepping stone. It's where they started, but who knows where they may go based on the company need.
Awesome.
We're not supporting any, we're not guiding students into any specific region. Students want to go where they want to go. I will say, a lot of students a lot of our students want to stay on the East Coast. They want to stay in the Southern states. For some reason, Austin is really hot. I don't know why, but everybody seems to want to go to Austin. There are a number of students who want to go to the West Coast, and we certainly support them regardless of where they want to go.
Having done this for so long, I mean, I remember the day when the top 4 locations for Wake students was New York, Boston, Charlotte, and Atlanta. DC in there too. So those 5. I never hear Boston anymore. It's like, what happened to, now? And now it's Austin, or now it's San Francisco, or now it's Florida based. So the student populations and their location preferences change through the years. So there's opportunities regardless of where you want to go.
Excellent. There's Deeks everywhere. Well, I'm so excited that we were able to do this today. I want to ask Ayanna and Dana if you want to give your final words of advice for these incoming MSM and MSBA students. We'll start with you, Dana. What is some final words of advice?
Final words of advice. I would say, if you make that definite choice to come to Wake Forest, know that you have got a team behind you that is willing to help you and meet you. I will give 200% if you will give 200%. Ayanna will do the same. We're gonna work to help you succeed. So know that you've got that support behind you. Also realize that yes, you're here and it's a competitive process. So as someone mentioned earlier, you're competing with your peers sitting right next to you in the classroom, but you're also competing with your peers down I-40, here in North Carolina. So I like to use the analogy. When I'm talking to employers, I'm a sports fanatic. And so I use this analogy. It's like a basketball team. I've got the best starting 5, but I don't have the bench. So when you come to Wake, you're gonna get the best of the best. So as I'm out there teasing employers to come and recruit at Wake, I'm telling them, you're not gonna get the, if we post something, you're not going to get 500 resumes that you might get at a bigger school, but you're going to get 50 or 100 of the top, the very best. So you need to come see my talent. So when you come to Wake Forest and you see an employer that's recruiting, if you're interested, you need to be there to meet them, because we don't want them to hit I-40 and go down and see the other 3 other schools, Duke, Chapel Hill, and State. We want them to stay here and recruit the top talent. So take advantage of every resource and every opportunity that puts itself in front of you here at Wake. There's no better place. I wouldn't be here for 30 years if I didn't think it was. And I've got the best job there is, and that's showing the talent to the employers. So I hope to cross your path. And if you come, expect to get an email from Hutchins at WFU. I'm just going to promise you, you will get one.
I agree 100% with Dana. I think, in addition to all of the things that she said, I think it's going to be important for you to be ready. We're not expecting you to come in ready with all of everything, all your, your I's dotted and your T's crossed as it relates to your career search process, because we know that it is a process for some. But understand that this is an accelerated program, and accelerated means just that. If you literally hit the ground running from July. Your classes start in July. And the way you start is sometimes the way you're going to finish. Yes, there will be ebbs and flows in your level of energy, in your level of engagement. That's just human nature. But the students who start strong and remain engaged in their career process are those who either are very successful early on, or they are able to, manage to land the type of role where they want to be in their timeline. Because this is all on your timeline. This is not my timeline. This is not Dana's timeline. It is your timeline. If you decide I'm trying to have this done by fall, you have to put in the work to make that happen. Now, granted, depending on what you want to do, if you're a marketing person, you may not land in the fall, because typically marketing things kind of more happen in the spring, like around now. So you have to have some level of awareness about that, and we'll talk through that. But the way you start is the way you're going to finish, and it's all in your timeline. So the energy you put in, I match your energy. I match your energy. If you want to see me every week, I can do it. I'm happy to talk to you all the time. If you not, that's fine too. I can see you quarterly if you can handle it. I have some students who handle it on their own, and they just check in with me periodically. But I think, you know, definitely want to come in with the kind of energy you want to finish with.
Thank you guys so much. It has been a pleasure having this conversation with you. I want to say bye to everyone. We are here to help you. Like I said, my name is Ashley Jones. We have Blake, Dana, and Ayana. We can put our emails in the chat if you have any additional questions. We are here to help you and support you as you make your decision to enroll in one of our programs, whether it's MSM, MSBA. We're here to support you, and we hope that we'll see you this July. See you later. Bye, everyone.
Thank you,
Thanks, everyone.
everybody.